A zaraz trochę historii.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Comrades, the podcast all about the FX show The Americans. I am your host, Jesse Jackson, and first off, I want to apologize. There has been a little bit of delay. We did not get sent to the gulag in, Siberia. We had real life interfering, and Matt's had some issues, so he's had to step away from co-hosting duties. And I was going, who can I get that is passionate about the Americans and talk to me about this? But I went out to my Bruce wife and said, Allie, didn't you mention you like the Americans?
And I said, it's my favorite show on TV. I'm obsessed.
And so, since Allie, and for those of you who don't know, Allie has been on Set Listing Bruce multiple times. The only thing she's more obsessed with on The Americans and her family is Bruce. We were like, oh, this will be fun. Thank you for joining the podcast, Allie.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about how'd you find the show? Have you been a fan from the beginning? Talk to me a little bit.
Oh, it's really interesting, actually. They film in my neighborhood.
How
This is
very
how
cool.
yes. And if people remember in season 2 when they were doing a lot of Russian flashbacks, um, that was at my train station, my neighborhood. I mean, like like everywhere, like I am every day. And it was actually in season 2 that I saw this, going on in my neighborhood. And when I mean they were they took over the whole, like Main Street USA, for a lack of better, for your imagination, in my neighborhood here in Queens. And I literally just walked, and I saw these cars from the 80s and it intrigued me, and I just started watching. Literally just started watching what they were doing. They transformed my train station, and when they were finished, I went down there and was like looking as they were taking down all these, KG, all these posters of Russians from the train. And then the next day, I followed these yellow and black signs, these production signs, and they were filming at this park, where actually my kids go sled riding, everything. And I stood by a tree and watched for hours. When
Mm.
someone came over to me and said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "No, can you just tell me what you're filming? Is it a movie? Is it this?" And he says, "No, we're filming season 2 of this amazing show on FX, The Americans." And he gave me a little bit of a background. And the person that spoke to me was Joel Fields.
Oh, nice.
And he said, "So you're welcome to just stay and watch." And I have met with him, like, not, met with him. I've seen him again throughout their filming, many, many times. And he always gives me a little wave or hello. And yeah, so that was mine. I saw them filming it and then went home. And I think it was only on Amazon Prime at the time, or Amazon. It wasn't on Netflix yet,
Mhm.
season 1. Watched the whole thing and then started watching, when season 2 came out, knowing already what they were doing,
Right.
knowing already. It's like, ah. So
Eh,
that's how I got into it, to be
Oh,
honest.
very cool. Now,
Fun, right?
yes, did you go back and watch the first season as well?
Apps,
Okay.
immediately, like
Yes.
upon, like, after that day, it was Crochan Park,
Right.
actually, which is right here. That day, I went home, and like I said, it wasn't on Netflix. It was on, I believe, Amazon at the time, and you had to buy them. I think they were like $1.99 an episode, whatever it was,
Hmm.
and I did it. I was like, I don't care. I have to watch this.
So, what were your first thoughts? Now, of course, you kind of wanted to like it because, you met one of the executive producers and it's filming in your neighborhoods, but as you were watching it, what were your thoughts, Allie?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was first of all so well done, and the writers, the prop masters. I think it's just a very well done show. Now, whether you like the content or not, because I know people who are not big fans, but they will also always say it's a well done show. You know what I mean? It's well thought out. It's well done. Little things that people might not know, like the music, the guy, the director of music for the show is in LA. He's not
Hmm.
even here. He
Right.
gets dailies. He gets dailies and then composes, like these, pieces for the show, or, gets music that he feels that'll fit in. And I think everything that they do with this show is spot on. Now, I'm a child of this, as
Right.
you are.
Yeah.
I was Paige's age, or a little
Hmm.
bit older than Paige during this time. So there's that familiarity, when that
Hmm.
there's that. And I think their target audience is people like yourself and myself,
Yeah.
who were of Paige's age at that time, or, Henry's age maybe,
Hmm.
and watching it from this perspective, and it's a well done show. It's also a show, sadly, that probably won't go more than 6, 7 seasons.
Yeah.
From what I know, they have an end already.
Maureen Ryan from
Yeah,
yeah, one of my favorite TV critics, she's now working for Variety, has interviewed the showrunners, and they specifically, they have a set story they want to tell, and
exactly.
so they don't want to stretch it just to make it. Um,
Yeah,
so and what I find interesting, and I wanted your take on it, is every once in a while I find myself surprised because Elizabeth and Philip are the stars, there are heroes, so to speak. I'm cheering for them to win.
yes,
And they're Russians.
yes,
But that's the joy of this show, right?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. They are.
Hmm.
They are, and and as we'll discuss in future podcasts,
Yeah.
with where they're kind of at now,
Yeah.
with everything, we'll dive into that
Yeah.
in the future. But as of this last episode that we're discussing,
Yeah.
you start to see them, like, especially with Philip, with his conflict, with
Yeah.
all this internal conflict that he's feeling,
Yeah.
um as a husband of two people, of two
Yes.
of two, as a father,
Yes.
you start to see this in Philip,
Hmm.
much more than with Elizabeth right now, you
Yeah.
know.
Listeners, what we decided to do is um, we're going to at least try to talk about. We have 3 episodes to catch up on. We're going to try to talk all 3 of them separate. And then I don't know if we'll put it all in one long episode or if we'll split them up, but we're going to catch up. And then going forward, Ali and I will be talking every week, about the current episodes. So we're going to move to episode 3, the experimental prototype city of tomorrow. And this was the episode that came on March 30th. It is the 3rd episode of this season. And I think the first thing I want to talk about is Paige and Pastor Tim's relationship. Um, because um, the council, has pushed Philip and Elizabeth to make Paige to turn Paige because
The center.
yeah, the center, that's her, because Paige is the golden ticket,
Oh, absolutely.
because she is a natural, she was born in the USA, she was raised, she could do anything and pass any background screening. So, the center wants to turn her, and both Philip and Elizabeth are a little bit uncomfortable with that, but they, made the big reveal.
Do you really think Elizabeth is that uncomfortable with it?
No, I think, and it's very clear, they set this up very early in the very first episode, first season, is that Elizabeth is
Staunch.
she is the obsessive Bruce fan,
Yes.
and Philip is the guy's pretty good, but really, do we need to go to 200 shows?
Exactly. That's a great. I love it. I love it.
um,
Yes. But
yeah,
she
and
is.
we're warning you right now. When you get Allie and I together, there will be some
Absolutely.
bleed over on Bruce talk. So
She's hardcore.
she is totally hardcore,
Yes.
and I think we're going to talk about this on and off. So I'm going to save that for now. We're going to discuss Philip and Elizabeth's marriage, because I know one of the things that I just recently read a review with the showrunners, and they said always in the past they'd say, what is the spy story and what is the marriage story?
Exactly.
And they said this year they haven't had to do that because they have been brought together. So let's talk about Paige. Paige obviously is needing something, and she has gone searching for some kind of help with religion. I don't know how much of this, and I'm going to get your opinion of, is this being a rebel to her parents, or is this being her actually looking for something? Well, I'm going to stop there. What do you think that is? Do you think it's a little
Well,
of both?
I do think it's a little bit both, but prior to, the, season finale of season 2, it wasn't a rebel. It
Yeah.
was, I think, look, and Paige points this out herself. And, what's kind of really interesting is that I don't know about you, Jesse, but I was a latchkey kid in the 80s. This is when latchkey kids, when it started, when both,
Yes.
mother and father went to work.
Right.
So you start to look at the parallels to real life. And here's Paige, like a latchkey kid, in charge of her younger brother, Henry, and her parents not around, them being, you know, the kind of jobs that they say they have, they can explain certain things. And if a child back then believed it, but
Yes.
they were never around. Elizabeth and
Right.
Philip are not around, and I think a lot of it when she went soul searching and when she went, looking for something was just that, just a child who's lonely, they don't have relatives, they're not cousins, they don't have all this stuff, they don't have this rich family.
Right.
And she just went looking for something. Look, it could have been drugs, it could have been anything,
Right.
but this is what she found. And I think, again, saying she doesn't come from this rich family, she found in Pastor Tim and Alice and the congregation and everyone there, she found family.
Yeah.
And that's where it started.
Right. Now, Chris, my son, is an only child, but he's got four cousins, and then I growing up, I had a brother and a sister, and I had a lot of cousins, so we have a big extended family, and then
Hmm.
we also have a ton of friends. I think when you know, we grew, Linda grew up in Louisiana. I was, my dad retired in the army. We were in Louisiana. So when we moved to Dallas, you're kind of alone and you make this extended family.
Right.
Right. When Thanksgiving has, you might have a dozen people there and you're all just family because you're all from different cities. So he has that. But I think you're totally right. Paige and Henry have nothing. They
Hmm.
have no grandparents. They have no cousins. They have no. I certainly think Philip and Elizabeth try to make connections, but they are not. They have secrets, and
And they're
that's in
also
there.
not warm and fuzzy,
No, they're not.
especially Elizabeth.
Right. And so I do think this. So, and I think Paige is looking for not only that family, as you put,
Hmm.
but I think in a lot of ways, um, her and Pastor Tim, there is a parental figure with
Yeah,
her and a mentor.
that's exactly.
Yes. And um, so I am not surprised at all that Paige told him about what her parents told her.
Well, that's her being her age and being naive. I mean,
Yes.
let's be real. That's, and I think maybe a little bit, maybe 10% was being spiteful as well.
Yes.
And again, I was a child of that time, and I
Yes.
remember what I was like. And again, she doesn't have this great family. She
Right.
finds this completely insane thing out about her parents. I mean, it's
Yes.
insane when you think about it. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
It's like, like, how do you wrap your head around that? And when they revealed this, and then Elizabeth, losing her mother and trying to integrate herself into Paige's life, and going um to certain church activities, and doing all this, you just you think of Paige, you think of her
Yeah.
seeing this and saying, for lack of better words, what the heck, you know,
Yes.
what the heck,
Absolutely.
and she's just a teenager, and as we'll talk about in future episodes, I don't want to give away too much,
Yeah.
or whatever, you see how it unfolds for Paige. A lot of this season is through Paige's eyes,
And
and it's great and it's interesting.
so there are often, um, sometimes writers do not know what to do with a teenage
Mhm.
character in a show, and I got to tell you, Holly Taylor
Oh,
is
she's
killing it
fabulous. She's
as Paige.
fabulous.
I mean, this is a fantastic role. She's playing it with as
Breakthrough.
yeah, much depth. Similar to you know in Mad Men, the actress who played Sally, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just really well done.
I mean,
Um,
you can see the contempt in her, for
yes,
them. You see it. Like
yes,
she is literally, Holly is literally just channeling this to the,
yeah,
and you think this young actress, where does she get the depth,
right.
in her small amount of years on this planet to have such, the contempt for them and you see it. She's fabulous.
Yeah,
She's fabulous.
she really is, and I think what's even better is when you show, you know, Henry so far is
Oh,
not the sharpest tool in the shed, right?
no, no,
But I
not at
think
all.
they're
Adorable.
specifically there. I think they're specifically playing that. I am
Hmm.
not saying that about
Not
uh,
the actor.
the
He's playing
actors.
it very well.
I think so
So
too.
he's not personally like that.
Yeah.
He's playing it very well. What his name is he has his
Yes, Kendrick. So
Kydrick.
yeah, Solange.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and
You know,
you
he's
know,
excellent. I
he
mean, because he's
his
acting that.
yes.
You could, and he's doing it so well.
Hmm.
I like him. I like him
Yeah,
too. But
I do
he's
too.
totally oblivious to anything.
Yeah, and
But again, Jesse,
yeah,
think of a young boy in the 80s when video games came out and all these
yes,
things that Henry does. They were oblivious.
yeah.
Most boys were, like my husband. They couldn't tell you, like, oh, my sister and my mother were having a fight over this. My husband found that out 30 years later. That you guys used to fight about this. Where was I? They said playing ColecoVision in the living room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and
I
I
think
will.
girls are just more intuitive in some ways to begin with and mature faster, and they're showing that with Paige and Henry.
Well, and I can remember in um it was the early 70s, but same thing. I'm you know Henry's age, and we're in Germany. My dad's stationed in Germany, and so here's a whole nother country, so much to see. But I was old enough that they would let me stay by myself. And I thought it was cooler to stay by myself reading comic books than I
Exactly.
am to go see something this other
Absolutely.
country. And so I totally get that. He's just because they don't have a computer, and so I want to go over to Stan's house and
Ah,
see
ha,
this,
ha,
and
ha.
right?
Uh,
Yeah,
oh yeah.
absolutely. Um, where's your theory um, on So Pastor Tim tells his wife the secret.
Alice, who can't keep her mouth shut.
Right. So what's your thought on that?
Listen, let's talk about it from a marriage perspective.
Right.
Do you tell your spouse everything? Honestly.
Yeah, most things I do, but I do I do every once in a while now I will say, you shouldn't talk about this. And she'll go, well, who am I going to talk to about? But we have had people that we've become friends with that I work with. And, so that if you repeat this just casually, it could come back and make bad for me. So I try to tell her as much as I can, but you're right. There are some things I do not tell her specifically. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I mean, my husband and I have been, you know, back and forth. I mean, not with our marriage, but prior to getting married. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been together since 1987.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
and you better believe there are things I don't tell him.
Yes.
It's not usually within our family or my children. Maybe it is now that my daughter is getting older. There might be stuff I don't tell him, about my daughter, certain things that are not critical, so to speak. But there are just things. There are things that I just don't tell him, and not because I don't trust him or because, I don't think he's going to understand. It's just because they're not relevant.
Yeah.
They're
And
not relevant.
exactly. And there are times when, Chris will tell me something and he'll say, and let's not tell LJ about it.
Yeah.
And I will have to say, no, I
You make a
really,
decision.
yeah,
It depends on
but
what it is. If
and
it's
I will
critical
tell
to your
him,
life or
I will
his
say,
life,
no, I'm gonna have to tell your mom
right.
this.
I'm not comfortable with
Yeah,
this. I have
yeah,
to tell.
or like,
Right.
no, absolutely, we're not gonna tell LJ that
Exactly.
together. Yeah, exactly. You make a decision. So, but I do feel that Pastor Tim, and I love that he's always called Pastor Tim, not
Exactly.
Tim, not Timothy. He's Pastor Tim.
And
Shoot,
Kelly O'Coin does fabulous. I mean, he is just fabulous in this role.
he is absolutely, and
He's breaking through right
spoilers,
now. Yeah.
spoilers. You happen to know him,
I might.
yes. So the it is,
He's a good guy.
yeah,
And he's a big Springsteen fan,
yeah.
for those of you who don't know.
He should, like, I would think Pastor Tim would go, okay, I can't tell this. I
You would
can't tell
think.
this to anyone.
But think about what he was told.
Yes.
Now think about this for a minute. You're hearing from a young girl, 15, 16-year-old girl, that her parents are Russian spies.
Hmm.
Now for a moment there, you got to say to yourself as a pastor, as an adult, whatever, okay, this girl has some imagination. I
Yeah.
mean, you have to.
Right.
They're in the Tony suburbs of Virginia, wherever they are, you know what I mean? And this girl is coming to her saying this, coming to him saying this.
Yeah.
That has to be, I mean, I'm sorry, but that would be my first internal reaction.
Yeah. You're
It
kidding.
wouldn't, right. It wouldn't be really. It would be like, what?
Yes.
Come on. What?
Right.
I've met your parents. What do you mean? So you kind of think on his part, was he telling Alice? Because it's such a far reach to think of what this young girl who he saw as a lonely, wanting approval, wanting something to dive into, needing to feel, a part of something, is she reaching? Is she just saying something, for attention? You don't know. Or is she telling me something true? And I don't really think as an adult, is she telling me something true was the first thing in his his thinking. And I think maybe him telling Alice is him bouncing it off her like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this, you'll never believe this, what Paige told me today.
Yeah.
Like you'll never believe.
Right.
Like, it's interesting because, it is such a far out of your realm thinking if someone said that to you. If someone said that to you now, Jesse, come on,
Right.
what would you say?
Yeah, I would
I
probably go,
mean,
"Come on, really?"
my parents are
Yeah.
Russian spies.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, this is someone who is, is a fib. Um,
Right. They're looking for
right.
attention, especially kids. Back then in the 80s, I don't know if you ever heard this expression, but this is when the expression of kids acting out,
Yes.
started in the 80s,
Hmm.
looking for attention. Because again, we go back to it. You have two, mommy going to work. The 80s saw the boom of women in the
Hmm.
workplace and kids being latchkey kids and all these things. And, was she just acting out? Is she just looking for attention?
Yeah.
Let's be real. Maybe that's why he told Alice.
Right.
Simple as that.
And obviously, we're kind of at a disadvantage because we've already seen the next two episodes.
Yes.
But at this point, are you thinking that? Do you agree with, that the we should kill Pastor Tim? Elizabeth's
No, from a
plan.
personal
Yes.
perspective.
Or is Philip right? Like we should run because Paige will figure out that we killed the only person she trusts and believes in, and we will lose her forever.
You know, that's difficult because I do know what's going on.
Right.
So it is kind of difficult. Um, Again, I think Philip, as they're showing, with him going to Est, and
Yes.
all these things. And even I think, if you look at where and how he's become because of Martha, you
Yeah.
have to bring Martha into this a little bit because
Yeah.
it all is together, He has, been this different type of a husband and a man with
Yeah.
Martha than he ever could be because in fact, he's only really legally married to Martha. He's
Right.
not even legally married to Elizabeth, technically,
Yes.
if you know that. So I think Philip's thinking and his character being developed the way it is and being shown of this, having emotion and wanting to do what's right by Paige because maybe he feels guilty about never doing what's right by Paige, and I think he has her best interests, in saying this.
Hmm.
And of course, there's the selfish part. Yes, we must run,
Yeah.
because I don't want to give up this life that I have known to love
Yeah.
here in America.
So I have a quick question for you.
Hmm.
Have you and the family gone to Epcot?
No,
Okay.
I've been to Epcot. My
Because I
kids
was
have been
just
to
wondering, were
Epcot.
you trying to get out of town so that the the sinner can destroy someone in your life? Uh,
Yeah, right. Can you
mhm.
imagine? I don't
Yes.
think I'd go to Epcot though.
Yeah. Um,
I'd go more like to Bora Bora. If I was a
yes.
travel agent,
Right.
it's like Epcot. Come
Yeah.
on. But I
I
guess
did.
that was so 80s,
Yes, it was, and I
Epcot.
did think it was so funny the way they played this. Um, you know, there have been bosses in the past where you had to make them think it was their idea to
Oh,
get anything
absolutely.
going. So,
Oh,
they
that was great.
played,
Around in the kitchen, that
yeah,
episode.
that,
Yeah, that was
oh,
great.
Henry,
Yeah.
they make it so Henry looks like they suggested it.
Yeah.
Um, but they didn't get to go to Epcot, did they, Allie?
No. Oh, no, they didn't. There was a bigger thing in store for them for that weekend.
Yes.
Much
Um,
bigger.
yeah, they end up seeing, so when you were seeing, and we kind of left with a nice cliffhanger on this episode where um, Philip and Elizabeth go to visit their handler, Gabriel, and who's just Frank Langella, which I
Who
think
is
is,
just absolutely,
yeah.
I mean, beyond.
And let's
He is
face it,
beyond as an
e-
actor.
every everyone on this show, I mean, even down to John Boy, Richard Thomas is so amazing in this small
Fabulous.
role. Um, and how cool was it? It's going to come back where him complaining about the copy machines, the copiers, because I was
Yes.
like, man, that sounds like a jerk boss I have that we're worried about we're spending an extra few cents on stuff. But
But
no,
it's not. In
no.
the eyes of the FBI, they count copies for a reason.
Yes,
I mean, it's not because of the extra 3 cents of paper and
yes,
toner. It's for the what is somebody copying?
yes.
It's a much bigger thing.
Uh-huh. So they find Gabriel on the floor. They go get William.
William. Oh,
Oh,
what's his name? The actor. He's another fabulous.
Dylan Baker
Yes, he's fabulous. He's a
has
great
been,
character actor. He's such a
great
great,
in The Good Wife. Uh,
fabulous in The Good Wife. Oh, I love him in that show.
yes, and
And now
he,
as Dylan,
yes,
as William. Sorry.
yeah.
And oh, I was about to say something, but I would. Mm,
He's like already, we may already be dead, and so we're gonna have to spend the next 36
36
hours
hours.
in quarantined. Um, and immediately I'm like, damn, how are they going to explain this to the kids? What are they going to do? This is, I got to tell you, I could not live the double life that Philip and Elizabeth do.
I'd love to.
Oh, this is
I'd
a different
love
side of you. I
to.
see.
Ah,
Just because
ah.
you look fabulous in wigs?
Oh my God, can we talk about that wig department for a minute? Can we digress?
Yes, we
How
can.
incredible is that wig department?
Oh,
I mean, when Philip turns into Clark,
yes,
that in itself, first of all, it's such an 80s hairdo.
yes,
It's fabulous. When Philip was playing, what was he? The not record producer, um the scout or whatever, when he was driving the 280Z or the
right,
300ZX, and he was wearing the leather jacket with the wig, and he was
yes,
courting the CIA's like 14-year-old daughter. What was that, season one or
yes,
two? I mean, the wigs for Philip are just like, it's one thing for a woman. When you see Elizabeth put on different wigs and
yes,
hide them behind the washing machine in the basement.
right.
But for Philip, I mean, for Matthew Rice, for his character, it's just I mean, when he turns into Clark, I love it.
Well,
Love it.
I had not known him from anything
You never saw Brothers and Sisters?
that's except Brothers and
Are you
Sisters. Except
serious?
for Brothers and
Another
Sisters.
fabulous role that he played.
Yes, and a
This
totally
straight
different role.
Scottish guy,
Yes,
with this deep, when you hear him speak in real life with this deep brogue,
yes,
playing this, rich California gay guy, in this series. Again, what his scope, his range
yeah,
as an actor is just enough to appreciate this show.
absolutely.
He's fabulous.
So, we're gonna move on to the next episode, but how many? We're gonna do a scale 1 to 10. I'm gonna give this one 8 Cabbage Patch Kids. How would you rate it?
I'm gonna give it episode 3,
Yeah.
8 out of 10 wigs.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. All right. Very nice.
And I need to ask you another very important question quickly.
Yes.
Do male robots, do the male, not male as in MALE, MAIL, do
Hmm.
male robots dream of electric sheep?
I do not know, but a great question.
We can leave
Allie,
it like that.
yes, Allie, if someone wants to reach you, how can they?
You can find me on Twitter at A Forever New York Girl. That's A, the number 4, EVANYGIRL. Best way to reach me.
And I am at Jesse Jackson DFW.
Not to be confused with the other Jesse Jackson.
That's correct. Please retweet and let everyone know. And if you've now have not heard Allie talk about Bruce before, go and check her up on Set Listing Bruce. She's been on 3 episodes, and she always has
4.
I guess, yeah, I guess so.
4.
4 has tons of hot Bruce opinions.
I do. And they're not sexy ones either. They're not about his beauty.
No. So thank you, Allie. And for now, we will keep hope alive, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this show. This podcast is part of the 80s Reboot Overdrive channel on Southgate Media Group. You can follow us on Facebook on the 80s Reboot group page. We're also on Twitter and Tumblr at 80s Reboot. We invite you to check out all the wonderful podcasts and blogs available at southgatemediagroup.com. And thank you for reliving the 80s.
So you really have a problem. Hi, I'm Jesse. I'm addicted to podcasts.
Yes, I am.